responsible pharmacist in charge of a pharmacy. It sounds really like, make sure patient safety is at the back of you as a newly qualified pharmacist. Point number 3 is try to separate your work life from your personal life. Just be proactive. Hello everybody, welcome. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ambisi Ezen. So today I'll be talking about 5 or 6 points that you should have in mind for those who are newly qualified. Congratulations, you passed your Prereg exam. Actually, wait. You went through pharmacy school, you passed the Prereg exams, you're now a qualified pharmacist, you've sent in your application, well done, congratulations. Point number 1, you are the responsible pharmacist. I had a few Prereg pharmacists that I was mentoring through the course of this exam that I'm still mentoring, and most of you, the thing that I found that's similar across most Preregs, but the issue of self-esteem keeps coming up, of your tutor being really nasty with you, or your tutor kind of talking down on you. So you've tried to deal with that during your Prereg year, so now it's time to face the real world as the responsible pharmacist. So just remember, you're the responsible pharmacist. It's something that you should always have in mind, so that you're not kind of pushed back. You went through that exam, you went through that 4 years of university, 1 year of Prereg for a reason. People would definitely want to push you down or kind of use words to make you shy away from your responsibilities. But please remember, you're a responsible pharmacist. If things go wrong, you're the one that is in charge of the pharmacy. You're the one that would be held responsible for it. Yeah, and some of you have decided to locum. I know somebody contacted me asking me, did I locum? Am I store-based? By the way, I work in a community pharmacy, so most of my points will be focused around community pharmacy, and hopefully I'll get someone that can speak to you guys about the hospital aspect or the industrial aspect of being a pharmacist. So they asked me, am I locum, am I store-based, am I relief and whatnot. Personally, I'm store-based, but this person was like, she's decided to locum because she had a really bad experience in her Prereg year with the whole tutor and self-esteem. So basically using locuming or relieving as a way to build your confidence. I wouldn't say I was confident, that's why I chose store-based. No, on the contrary, I just wanted store-based. I didn't feel like moving up and down, just wanted something settled. That's literally the only reason. But if I had my chance to, I probably would have started relieving first when I newly qualified, or locuming. But if you've chosen to locum for this reason, that is definitely a good reason to locum, for you to build your self-esteem. Because what a locum does for you is it kind of exposes you to different ways different pharmacies are run. You're still responsible. I know some people is like, okay, I want to locum or be a relief, so that okay, most things are not on my head, if that makes sense. But basically, a locum as a relief pharmacist, you're still a responsible pharmacist. The pharmacy can't run or do certain things without you. Starting as a locum is definitely a good way to go as a relief. It exposes you to different ways to do stuff and kind of build your confidence, because you're in charge of different pharmacies, or you're here today, you're there tomorrow, and it kind of allows you to easily adjust, if that makes sense. Point number 2, your colleagues and family. This is another case as well that I have heard from one of my mentees, the issue of oversharing. I know as a newly qualified pharmacist or doing your Prereg, you were trying so much, probably fitting, and it might be the case for you as a newly qualified. Some of you may actually know or have mastered the way to separate work life from personal life, which is amazing. Kudos to that, and that's the best way, to be honest, to go about it. But if you haven't, just remember your colleagues aren't family members. Try as much as possible not to overshare personal things with your colleague. I think when you start working, read the room before you share stuff. If you're locum, you have no business basically, or even a store base, you have no business basically sharing your stuff, because at the end of the day it will be shared to somebody and somebody. That's what I've realized, and the next person and the next person and the next person, and before you know it, your personal life is on national TV. Obviously that's exaggerating, but try as much as possible to keep your personal life away from your work life, unless you don't care, unless your personal life, like, I don't mind people knowing, that's fine. I'm a free-spirited person. Or even though you're a free-spirited person, there are things obviously you don't want the whole world to know. So try and read the room, the kind of people you work with, the kind of vibe you get from them. Are the people that have loud mouths? Are the people that are chattering? Try to see how they converse with each other when one person is out of the room. Try to see how they are with everyone in the room, or when one person is away, are they talking about that person and the things they say to that person, and see how they are as well when a stranger walks in the room, like a delivery driver or someone from another pharmacy comes to work with them, like a dispenser, local dispenser. Are they oversharing, or are they just quiet? Are they saying things that are meant to say about their other colleague? It's workplace gossip, but you do not want to be caught in that mess of being that subject of discussion because you have overshared things that you're not meant to overshare. Community pharmacy, sometimes it can be really boring, it can be really quiet, so there is that urge to kind of fill the silence with gossip, fill the silence with backbiting. Gossip isn't good, especially if it's not really nice things being said. If it's a matter of, oh my goodness, she works really good, I like her work ethic, that's great because that helps self-esteem, and you can say that in front of somebody. If it's something that you can't really say, or if it's an opinion, a strong opinion that you have and you can't really say before that person, if a stranger hears it, they might not understand the fact that, oh, you love that person, but this is what you don't really like. A stranger can hear it and be like, oh my goodness, they really hate this person, and you don't know that if that stranger is in good rapport with the person you're talking about and that person hears about it, it just gets in the way of the work relationship. So you, as a newly qualified pharmacist, try to separate your work life from your personal life. People that work with you aren't family members. It's okay for the pharmacy to be silent. I know it can get boring, and sometimes when it's too silent or quiet, you get lost in your own thoughts. But at the end of the day, if it's silent, it helps you concentrate. Less mistakes, less errors. You just concentrate on your work and just do it and forget about everything else. But yeah. Point number 3, I think patient safety. As a pharmacist, you are in control of people's life. I know it sounds really like I'm in control of people's life, but honestly, it's very easy to be businessy in a pharmacy, in a community pharmacy especially, because you're not really seeing the patient face to face. That's for most prescriptions. Yeah, some of them can bring walk-in prescriptions, some of them can come to the pharmacy and drop the prescriptions off, but most of the time you can't really tell the extent or the gravity of how this person's illness is affecting them and the extent to which they need their medicine. I understand that obviously as a pharmacist you'd always need to be you've been taught, or you went to university for this, you've done your Prereg or your Prereg, but if you're somebody that you still kind of struggle to see the patient behind that medicine, like the patient is on maybe anti-epileptics, anti-diabetes, but think about everything that can go wrong if that patient doesn't get their medication, if errors are made and not recorded, think about it. Or if you can't really place yourself in that person's shoes, maybe think about a family member that you love, think about yourself, think about your career as well. If anything happens to that patient, you are to blame. In as much as you have an indemnity cover, try as much as possible to be careful. And in the event of an error, I kind of learned this, not the hard way, but in a way that I would never forget. If there is an error that you're not sure is an error, write it down, record it, tell somebody, tell your manager, record it, apologize to the patient. I know the first instinct is obviously to apologize, but there is that work that you need to kind of sort out, like reporting to the manager, if you're not the store manager, recording it, ringing up the person's GP or doctor so that everyone involved in the care of that patient is aware this has happened as a result of the pharmacy error, not the patient error, if that makes sense. So basically, point number 3 is make sure patient safety is at the back of your head, your heart, your mind, your hand. Just make your breathing about patient safety as a pharmacist, as a newly qualified pharmacist. Obviously there's kind of a leverage for you after a couple of months, but at a certain point they expect you to kind of know what you're doing, because you're a pharmacist, you've passed the exam, you've done your Prereg, you've been a Prereg as well. See, no one aims to make mistakes, but mistakes happen. It's normal, but it's what you do with those mistakes. Have you looked through the root cause analysis? Have you kind of foreseen the future? What would have happened, or what could have happened if the patient didn't have this medication? What would have happened if I did not supply this methadone to this patient? What would have happened if she went away and used it during the weekend? What would have happened if this patient didn't get her complete quantity and she's going away? What would have happened? Always think what would have happened when you make an error, and so that you know that there is always a period of harm that would have happened if certain things are not done or put in place. And also from your end as well, you're at risk of fitness to practice if you not follow the right protocol, risk of conduct issues and whatnot. So think about yourself, the patient, your work colleagues, the pharmacy, the business as a whole in regards to patient safety. Look at ways to minimize risk, like think about your management skills, time management skills, organizational skills. This is meant to be a quick video, so I'm just going through quick points as fast as I can. Point number 4, I've kind of covered it in my point number 3. Record everything. Assume that no one has your back apart from you. Record everything to get yourself covered. You care about your patient, but things happen, like I said, but record everything, report everything that you think that, okay, if this gets out, you might be in trouble. Record it so that it's in the file that you've done and the steps that you've done to kind of rectify the situation, and make sure the reasoning behind things that you do covers patient safety and the safety of your colleagues as well. Point number 5, understand the roles of your support staff, if you have any. As a community pharmacist, you kind of realize that you might be understaffed. You might be doing the role of a dispenser, ACT, pharmacy advisor, shop girl and everything. I know most times they tell you that be prepared to do all that kind of work when you start. But if you have more than one staff as your support staff, try and understand the role so that you're not overworked as a pharmacist. So if you're overworked and there are support staff there and you don't really understand their roles, go back to your work handbook, or you go online, read the roles of an ACT, pharmacy advisor, your manager, which might be second as a dispenser, or an ACT, and understand your role as well to make sure that you're not being overstressed, and because of being timid, you're kind of not taking charge of that position and telling people, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this, have you dispensed this, have loads of prescriptions to check, make sure the ACT comes in, because you have to do the NMS, you have things to kind of sort out. Responsible pharmacist, you're not a checker, you're not just a checker, you're also responsible for consultation, all the services you offer as a pharmacist. So make sure you're not allowing your timidity to overstress you by not opening your mouth to delegate tasks to people that are meant to do it. Understand your roles properly. It's a luxury nowadays to have a shop girl, a dispenser, an ACT, what else, a pharmacy advisor, what else, 2 dispensers, this, that. It's a luxury in a community pharmacy. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes you are everything, you are all in all in the pharmacy, which is not right. You're stressing yourself, and if you can't really cope with the workload, do not push yourself. Do what's meant to be done in regards to your patient's safety, in regards to your services for the good of your patient. But remember, if anything happens to you as maybe a local pharmacist, a relief pharmacist, a store-based pharmacist, if anything happens to you health-wise because you overworked yourself, yes, you take off sick, but if it's something that has really affected your health that would require you to leave your job, you would get a replacement. Yes, no matter how you're loved, no matter how well you've been working, as long as you have left that business, as long as you're not really there because you're not feeling too well for a long period of time and you can't really come back to work, obviously, yes, it's off sick, people look out for you, but at the end of the day, at the long run, if you can't really come back, there's always a replacement. So try and look after yourself as a newly qualified or as a new start in a pharmacy. Now, point number 6 and the final one, I'm looking at the time, be intentional. I've had a few questions from a few people. That questions have been, what training can I do as a community pharmacist? That's the only, obviously that's where I can kind of give advice for. So your NMS service is very important, your minor ailments if your pharmacy provides that, they mention friends, consultation skills on CPPE, sepsis training. Also go through your EHC training as well. If your pharmacy offers travel services, obviously I think sometimes the pharmacy you work for kind of provides those kind of the trainings for you. For your field trainings, they're definitely private providers, but I did mine with the pharmacy I work for. Just be proactive, join groups that you think are helpful for you, that will kind of encourage you during this first year as a newly qualified pharmacist, or a couple of months as a newly qualified pharmacist. Join those groups that are helpful, that are speaking about professional development, personal development as a pharmacist. But that's everything I wanted to talk to you about this morning. I hope I wasn't talking too fast. If I was, I apologize for that. I'm kind of rushing because I need to eat my breakfast before going to work. Oh yeah, yes, I tutor. I've had a few questions or a few emails asking me if I tutor. I personally have about 2 or 3 slots. So if you need any kind of private tutoring, I do tutor, or even if it's just a message you want to send, a quick message, I can help you with that and just quickly reply or kind of motivate you. But yeah, that's everything I want to talk to you about today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. Until next time, my name is MBCS.